New year, new me, who are you, boy? If you're in my way, you better move, boy. I don't ever miss a cue like schoolboy. Ain't no telling what I'ma do, boy. Ha, 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 ha. I bet you thought you had me figured out, but nah, 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 nah. I'm way too unpredictable.
Hello, welcome to the Tech Disruptors podcast. We are back. We had a little bit of a 2-week hiatus there, and we are back roaring and ready to go. My name is Darren, and I am with my co-host on this side, and his name is Jason. Okay,
And we are tech disruptors, and we're kind of disrupting the week by changing it all the time. But
I
that's
know.
okay.
So in case for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, we're actually a couple days early this week. Myself and Jason have a pretty insane schedule at this time of the year, but we are making it work. And because it's been a while since we've been on air, we have the opportunity to kind of go back and look at what we missed, which appears to be a lot. Now, I want to kick things off with a funny story that I saw this morning.
And you're going to surprise me, right?
I am going to surprise you. So, okay. Do you know what a cyber flasher is? I'm going to give you one guess.
It's
a cyber
flasher. With someone showing their bits cyberly.
Okay, so you're actually pretty close. Not bad. I love that you guessed that because Jason does it regularly. Okay, so a man in England has been jailed for 66 weeks after pleading guilty to cyber flashing. Now, just to prove that this is not a made up bullshit story, I'm going to pull this up on the screen so you can see it. This is from earlier today. Earlier yesterday, I apologize. So he's been jailed for 66 weeks in the very first person to be convicted of this crime in England. So basically, cyber flashing is sending unsolicited photos of genitalia. Now that means that you send a picture of your dong to your mother-in-law, for example. And she didn't ask for it. She maybe didn't want to see it, but that's how it played out. And so this is the first known conviction of this crime in England. 66 weeks. What is that? Like a fucking 3 months? Is that what is that? No. How many months? How long is that?
Why is 66 weeks? Divide it by 4. It's what? Shit. I don't know.
It's 800 years.
I don't understand why they put it in 66. That doesn't make any sense.
I have no idea. Maybe that's just a weird penal system in England. Now, unsolicited photos of genitalia. So, so what got my attention about this is just kind of some of the way they describe what cyber flashing is. So cyber flashing is a serious crime, which leaves a lasting impact on victims, but it all too often can be dismissed as thoughtless banter or a harmless joke. Basically, he sent a picture of his genitals to an underage girl, which you should never do, just for the record. And as the way that this story goes, she went straight to the police and said, someone sent me a picture that I didn't want to see. Now, the reason I bring this up is because not only is it a world first, or at least a first in England, but I wanted to ask you, Jason, have you ever accidentally been sent? No, I won't ask you if you send them because I think that might be a bit too on the nose. But have you ever been sent a pic by someone else, even unexpectedly?
No. Now, in my line of business, sometimes we have to search electronic media and we find things we don't want to see. But personally, no, I've never sent or been sent anything either planned or unplanned.
Right. Okay. So I want to tell you my story, not me personally.
Oh, no.
Just
for
the
yeah, your
record.
friend, right?
Okay.
It's a friend.
Yeah, my friend. So I sell some things on like our version of Swapper over here in Canada called Kijiji. And very often they encourage you to put down your cell phone number so that people can communicate with you once you've set up a deal. And
wow, Swapper is the complete opposite. They do not want phone numbers or email.
Well, they don't. I mean, it comes through by email and through the app, but a lot of the time the person wants to know more information or they want to speak to you on the phone.
Well,
so you kind of
Canadians are a lot nicer than Americans, obviously.
So. Well, exactly. So I was selling. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a pair of headphones. Okay. And someone was like, "Hey, can you send me your number?" And I'm like, "Sure, no problem." And so they started texting with me, asking me questions about the product. Okay, which is pretty normal process. And then the conversation kind of died. I guess they lost interest, whatever. And about 3 days later, I get a message saying, "Hey, man, I've decided that I want to buy your headphones, but would you be willing to do a trade?" And I thought, that's an interesting concept. Okay, maybe he's got something that I actually might be legitimately interested in. And I foolishly...
I bet you were interested.
Well, not in this particular item, but I foolishly said, "Sure, what have you got?" And the next picture that came through, or the next text that came through, was a picture. It was not the kind of picture that a man like myself, my heterosexual self, would want to receive.
Would you say it's what the kids call a glizzy?
A glizzy. A glizzy, yes. Yes, it was a glizzy. So to make a long story short, I was sent a unsolicited image. I was cyber
traded and accepted and delivered those damn headphones in person.
I did. I ran across. I got to my car and I drove to his house quick smart and made sure that he got his headphones.
I'm pretty sure that was your neighbor.
No. Well, I mean, it would have made an amazing headphone stand, but that's pretty much about as good as it gets.
It depends. Yeah, it depends.
Yeah. But I just thought this was an interesting article just to kind of kick off our first show back here, because it kind of sets an interesting precedent now, right? So
yeah,
it's the term unsolicited means that it wasn't asked for is the simple way. And I know you work in law enforcement or something along those lines, Jason. So you might be able to help this this question.
So 66 weeks is 16.5 months roughly. So a little over a year.
Okay, so a little over. So okay.
That's weird.
It's a weird way to describe. I'm not sure why it's so much. Maybe it's done by like how many months of trauma it caused the victim. I guess, I mean, if she's a 15-year-old girl, I'm sure she'll get over it quickly. But I think that, the reason that it's interesting is because it's one of the first to be convicted, but also it brings up this notion of what we do as consumers with our phones, because obviously there are a lot of people out there who are sending inappropriate pictures around the world, and purposely.
Or solicited, I should say.
It also got me thinking. Now, I'm assuming this came through on text messages, right? Through a text, whatever, MMS, whatever, right?
Well, it depends. But, iPhone or Android, it's a green or blue bubble. It may not.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. So what I was thinking is, now, have you ever had this experience? Because I always think about AirDrop. Now, I'm one person who forgets to turn AirDrop off or has it open to everyone. Have you ever been AirDropped something in?
I have my iPhone, but I don't use AirDrop for anything because I don't have any Mac products. Now, I do Nearby Share on Android.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with Android is not many people utilize Nearby Share because they're not familiar with it. So I have never been sent anything for either one. I'm a boring person, apparently.
Well, your life's about to get a lot more spicier. Drop. No,
I'm gonna drop my phone number in the live stream and see what messages come my way.
Let's see who comes.
555.
That's definitely a bad idea. No, the reason I say that is because what we see a lot now amongst young people is AirDrop being a means by which images of said nature are also being shared. So people that have AirDrop open to everybody, which a lot of people do because they forget to turn it off or they forget to change their privacy settings, does this apply?
So let me ask you this question. I've never used AirDrop.
Yeah.
I know with Nearby Share, if someone wants to, or if I want to send something to somebody, there's prompts. You have to say okay.
Yes.
With AirDrop, I'm assuming it's the same thing. So if someone randomly starts airdropping, you don't have to accept. You can deny it, right?
That is correct. Now, but here's the thing. You don't actually get to see what's being dropped to you a lot of the time. Right?
Of course. That makes sense.
So, and I mean, if it says like, I don't know, coupon or like something that you might actually be interested in, it's just dropping onto your device.
So
you
it's
might
just
click
like
accept.
Phishing or any other cyber attack. Someone could send you malware and you wouldn't even know if you click on it. It's just like any other email or text from your bank saying there's been a security breach. You must click on this link to change your password. You know damn well you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of businesses now are also giving training to a lot of their employees about what is considered phishing, what's considered not. Yeah. And, you know, rightly so. I mean, I think people are pretty ignorant, and a lot of the time, these people that are sending inappropriate things through email and text and all that, they are using methods by which we would describe as clever or crafty, right?
Yeah.
So just a fun way, cyber flashing. I thought it was an interesting story. I think it's kind of an interesting take on what we have. Now, I just actually, before we move on to the next story, though, I wanted to just share with our lovely audience something that Jason sent to me earlier today.
Oh, here we go.
Now, he knew we were going to talk about this. And sure enough, he was like, I'm going to drop this over to my buddy. I'm going to get this set up so we can use this for a story. And this is what he sent me.
You know, I did. I airdropped this across the country lines.
I didn't know what it was at first. I'd been waiting, and then all of a sudden, there's a big dramatic scene.
This was unsolicited, by the way.
Unsolicited. I didn't ask for it. He just said, "Can you send it to me?"
And the end is the most grotesque that I had to admit. What you see right there. What is that?
So that's what I was sent by Jason earlier today.
Man,
and listen,
I gotta get that Rick roll back out.
That's been our running joke now for what, 3 episodes of the Tech Disruptors podcast?
Yeah, Rick roll. I kind of slowed down on maybe I did. So speaking of crazy stories,
yes,
you looked this up on you found yours on Engadget, looks like.
Yeah.
So I want to see if I can share this, but there's another crazy story. Now I don't remember if you guys remember this, and maybe the audience does, maybe they don't. There was a time when there's a thing called the coronavirus. There was a pandemic or something. I don't know.
Doesn't ring any bells.
And some conspiracy theorists believe that 5G was propagated or pushed.
I remember.
Kind of helped spread the disease, which of course it did. 5G is synonymous with COVID now. Well, there's a woman in Minnesota here in the U.S. who decided, I'm having a lot of health problems. I'm going to go ahead and sue T-Mobile and AT&T. Now, I'm going to try to share this. I don't share my screen very often, but here we go.
If this is a Rickroll, I'm going to lose my mind.
Not a Rickroll.
Okay.
So, as you can see, this is so stupid. So she's claiming she has all these, like here, she moved to the current residence located in a rural part of where she lives.
Of course.
Soon after a guide tower.
A guide tower.
I hope that was unsolicited. 1,300 feet from her house. And it was bought by Spectre. I don't know all these things, but basically they lease spaces for these towers for T-Mobile and AT&T.
Yep, I understand.
And apparently she's been having, what's 51 strokes right here. You see this stuff?
51 strokes?
And also blamed it for a host of other serious issues, including vision and hearing loss and cognitive impairment. As she was holding a bottle of whiskey. No, I'm just kidding. So,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, okay, so hang on. Let me just rewind for a second. So, I think 51 strokes would kill you. Maybe I got that wrong.
Well, and that's why when I read that, I was like, come on. And it says here, the tower was upgraded to 5G in 2019. So is she ground zero for the pandemic?
Maybe. No, actually, let me... Yeah, keep going.
No,
you
I was
go.
going to say real quick, like it says here, talked about the FCC and how it can't be that big of a deal. And here it talks about what she's expected. Maybe I put it in my notes. So it says, the company says it's taken a number of major features from the. That's not even the right. Looking at the wrong article. Here you go. She wants American Tower, AT&T, to modify the RF signals by reorienting the antennas or buying newer antennas to beamform. And I'm no tech expert, but beamforming, is that more of like the wideband that Verizon uses, where it has to be more narrow and it's not as good?
So
T-Mobile is synonymous with using that huge spectrum in the rural area where I live, where it helps speed. So I don't know where you live in Canada and how close you are to towers. I live close to a few towers, and my cognitive impairments aren't that bad. I mean, I've only had 49 strokes, so I'm doing pretty good.
Let me ask. So let me just point one small flaw in this story here. Mm-hmm. So you said she lives in a rural part of was it Duluth? I think I read there somewhere.
Yeah, rural area north of Duluth with her husband in 2008. That's where she.
I don't know what it's like in the States, but in most rural areas in Canada, getting 5G is a struggle.
That's not true here.
Okay.
So I live in a very rural area too. I mean, the town I live in is maybe 6,000 people, 8,000 people. And that's relatively small. AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon all have. But your guys' rural is a lot different probably where you are because your country is more vast, I guess I would say. But Duluth is Minnesota is probably pretty remote.
Okay.
But you're right, having 5G, so I don't know, maybe she just wasn't used to the 4G LTE was more like a vitamin for her, and the 5G was the opposite. I don't know.
Well, so she had 51 strokes and cognitive impairment, vision and hearing loss, but she has amazing signal and amazing service. So,
and needless to say, she's 98 years old. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. Well, yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't say how old she is. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Some of these things could just be from age. Like we talked about before on the show. I worked out Sunday and pulled a muscle in my back, and here we are going on Thursday, and I'm still in pain. And I'm not even that old. So if this lady's in her 60s, 70s, 80s, I mean, it could just be a sign of you're getting old. Now,
hang on a second. So she says that she wants them to use beamforming antennas, I think is what you said in the article here somewhere, if I got that right.
I didn't. It's in the article somewhere.
Yeah. Now, well, what I'm asking is, like that's a pretty tech forward term is how I would describe that. Is she just trying to get better signal?
Or trying to get paid?
Or trying to get paid.
Well, because AT&T, T-Mobile are expected to file a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, and it's like,
how do you?
They know these companies are billions of dollar companies, and if they say they're having these issues, they're thinking, maybe I'll get a check for $100,000 to shut up. You know?
Yeah.
So many unverified assertions have linked 5G antennas to various things, including coronavirus, and even the WHO assures 5G towers pose no
risk. Well, I don't know if you remember in England, I think they were burning the 5G towers down. Like they went all in and just said, "This is the cause."
I thought crazy was only in America, but man, I think
no.
It's everywhere.
But I don't know, 51 strokes. Hang on, let me fact check this bullshit. Hang on a second.
Well, we don't know the severity. What kind of are they? Major strokes, or just kind of like grandma? I mean, I'm not a doctor. I mean, I stayed at Holiday Inn Express last night, but I don't.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to just tell you, basically, there is no safe number of strokes a person can have. And no.
Did you really look that up?
Yeah, I did. And there is no set limit on how many someone can have before a stroke is fatal. So maybe 51 strokes is possible. It means it seems a bit high to me, a little more than average.
And what's even more amazing is you can come to the Tech Disruptors podcast and learn about unsolicited pictures and going to jail, as well as 51 strokes caused by 5G towers. I mean, where
there you go.
Get this information?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Speaking of strokes, because I feel like I had one after just hearing the nonsense in that article.
It's all true. 100%.
Yeah, I know, 100%. So we need to talk a little bit about TikTok. TikTok, the end of an era, one may say.
I have TikTok on my phone. They're listening. China's fine. ByteDance is a ByteDance.
ByteDance, I believe. The Chinese parent company, as they call it.
So I haven't been following. I mean, I knew the initial part where they here in the U.S., the House had passed a bill or ban.
Yes.
It was going to the Senate next. Have we got? I don't even know if it's passed there yet.
So here is, I was just reading this article just as a summary here, but for the basic nuts and bolts of it is that.
But the Senate hasn't passed yet, just the House has.
No, they've passed a bill.
In
Basically,
both houses?
No, just in the House of Representatives.
So they have to pass the Senate too.
Correct. Yeah. So
Okay,
basically, for those of you who don't know, it looks as though TikTok could be banned in the US. It may happen, may not. We don't know.
Hold on, we got a surprise. Darren, I'll go ahead and break the news to everyone.
Okay.
ByteDance either has to sell to a U.S. company or they'll be banned.
Yes.
The tech disruptors are buying TikTok.
We are buying TikTok. That is correct. Yes. Well done. We've dropped a huge bombshell.
We have. It only cost us $3.2 billion, mostly funded by Darren.
Yes.
I threw in $10, but
yes. We're good. And listen, I am going to be the first to actually install it because I actually don't have TikTok, if I'm being honest.
So I started TikTok with my channel, my YouTube channel, and I threw a few things out there. It was fun. I got more traction with YouTube Shorts.
Yes.
But what I find is, you ever heard of doom scrolling?
Yes.
So I don't really do that with Instagram. I don't really do that with X a little bit. But I doom scroll TikTok because it finds what you like. Like if I like animals, and I'm watching dog videos. I mean, you just see dog video after dog video after dog video, and it keeps you engaged. It really does.
Yeah.
But I don't post that much there anymore. It's mainly YouTube. But
this is going to make us sound old. Speaking of age, I feel like that's a young person game. TikTok
honestly, I got on some of the trends years ago with my kids, and it was fun. And we got some views, but I don't have a following. But it's fun. I don't think TikTok's bad. I think I shouldn't be mentioning this, but I was in a legal proceeding today, not for me personally. And in the courtroom, it was said that Snapchat is the young person's communication app. And I always thought maybe it was, but Snapchat isn't as possible as it used, or is not as popular as it used
to be. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Here in Canada, Snapchat's huge.
I've downloaded a few times just for those. My kids want to play with the filters for their face.
Yeah.
That's about all I downloaded it for. I never have used it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, you know what it is, and I'll tell you what it is about TikTok and both Snapchat too. I know if I download those two apps, I'm gonna get fucking hooked.
You will.
And I'm already trying to disconnect from the doom scrolling through Instagram stories and stuff like that, which is
YouTube has Shorts, which I got addicted to that because my kids do that.
Yes.
Then Facebook even has videos now.
Yes.
The old person's social media, but it's pop. I'm on Facebook for a couple reasons. VR, MetaQuest. I used to have a Facebook account. And then I have a couple car groups I'm part of where we exchange information. That's about it. I don't really have a whole lot of friends on there. Well, I don't have a lot of friends anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Freudian slip.
Rent a friend.
Yes, rent a friend. Yep. Yeah. If you want to look up Jason on Facebook, just look up Tech Disruptors Podcast.
That's my only representation.
We actually don't have a Facebook page for Tech Disruptors Podcast. So
I've been pushing some stuff on mine, but I keep my page pretty private. But we should.
Yes.
Maybe I should look into doing something about that.
Maybe you should send some unsolicited messages on your Facebook.
Tech Disruptors
for the podcast. Yes. It's just some appropriately titled things. But anyway,
send a video clip that maybe you might be familiar.
Yes. Let me see if I can pull that up. No, just kidding.
No.
So just to recap on the TikTok.
So let me ask you about TikTok.
Yeah,
we're right. We kind of got off topic.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Here in the U.S., just like Huawei, they banned them. Huawei's bouncing back slowly. TikTok, and when I first heard this, I go, they'd be stupid to sell because they know they've got a cash cow. But at the same time, they could make a killing off selling it. Do you think that China, and this is a loaded question, maybe I shouldn't be asking it, but do you think the U.S. is right in banning TikTok and that they are spying? Or you think it's just a political move because we're just in competition with China?
I would probably say it's more of a political move.
Do you think Canada will follow suit?
Well, Canada did. I mean, Huawei's banned here too, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Canada usually follows suit with the U.S., which is kind of crazy.
And you know what pisses me off? Because I'll be honest with you, I had a very good connection with Huawei. I used to review a lot of their products.
Give you some advice? When I was little, I tell my kids, don't be a leader or don't be a follower, be a leader. Canada needs to be a leader, not a follower.
This is true. And I know I agree.
We're picking on you.
Well, look, I'll put it to you this way. I don't think it will reach Canada or TikTok. TikTok's pretty popular here, as is Snapchat. Yeah. I mean, I think the fears of them spying and stuff like that, I think that boils back to Huawei. I think people are just fearful that,
But half these people are like in their 70s in the House and Senate.
Yeah.
They don't even know what hell TikTok is. It's like when you ever seen those videos when they were like harassing Facebook and Google and Apple, and they don't even know what the hell the basics of technology are. And we have these people making decisions for us. The EU is on the positive side. They're out there trying to make it more equal planes for everybody. Where the US is just saying, hey, if you're not from here, we don't want you anymore. We're turning into, it's like, and I shouldn't get too political, but I don't think they should be banned. If they have suspicions of data mining, then look into it. Don't just go off suspicion.
I'll tell you my theory, and this was when the COVID was just kicking off, and they were trying to find causes.
5G, anyways.
So, a little side note from a couple of years back, Canada locked up one of the executives of Huawei and kept her stuck in Canada.
I think because the US asked them to, right?
Yes, correct.
See,
and
be a leader, not a follower.
So the reason I bring that up is because I always suspected that when she was released and was sent home, it was retaliatory. And I'll explain what I mean. So Huawei has their fingers in a lot of different pies. And one of the pies that they have their finger in is the medical field. And a lot of medical equipment is actually made by Huawei.
Right.
Now, I'm conspiracy theorying here. So, again, this is all my opinion. It's no facts.
It's just FYI, everyone listening, Darren does live close to a 5G antenna, so this may be a little
true. There's one in my backyard. I'm okay with it, though. But I always thought, because of what Canada did, and Canada they were largely responsible for locking her up and keeping her trapped in the country. I always thought if there was a way to get people back for what they did, here is the opportunity. Now, again, that's conspiracy theories bullshit on my end, but I always thought that was kind of interesting that that was the case. But again, I had a great relationship with Huawei. They used to send me lots of great phones and laptops and all those kinds of things.
Alive, so whether they thought they were spying or not, if they were really just trying to spy on the U.S., they would have went bankrupt and left. And say, oh, we don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, TikTok's worldwide for the most part. And Huawei was.
I'm hoping that Huawei comes back. I really am. I'm hoping that the sanctions get lifted and we see them again.
I know this is off topic, but if Huawei comes back, let's say the government lifts our government lifts the entity list, and hey, do you think they'll go back to Android, or do you think they're going to stick with their OS?
I think they'll just stick with their OS, but they'll give you Google services. That's what I think will happen.
Well, what's the point?
I mean, I think they
won't make it in the U.S. anymore, anyways.
I don't think so.
I just saw an article. Apple owned, at least in the U.S., 51.9% of the market. Jesus. They sold the most phones of any company in 2023, and then obviously the rest are Samsung.
Yes.
And then
Google.
Whoever else. Google was down like 5th place, but they've gained a lot of market space. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
You seem jet lagged. Are you tired?
I'm yawning. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm tired too.
Okay. Now, actually, speaking of phones, you actually a nice little segue there.
Exactly.
Can we talk the Zenfone 11 Ultra, which was released last week, I believe? So I'm a little bit pissed off with Zenfone, and I know that Marcus Brownlee, MBKHD, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
that guy.
Yes.
Thank you. So he was talking about this in a video he released. I think it might have been yesterday, and he was talking
really
about
a review, or was that just more like woe is me?
I think it was a bitch session personally. So he released a video talking about the death of the small phone. Now, the Zenfone 10, the Zenfone 9 were these super powerful, small 5.8-inch smartphones that went back to like smartphones of yesteryear, giving consumers a powerful alternative to the big monstrous 6.8-inch things in their pants. And we're not talking about what you think we're talking about.
I own
So
every Zenfone up into the 10. Every
right.
Zenfone, even if you remember, they used to have the phone camera that would not raise up, but would flip.
Yes.
And it was cool because you could turn it on as it flipped. It was so sweet.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, so one of the things that the reason I bring up the Zenfone 11 Ultra, so this is their latest smartphone release. But in the video that Marquez was talking about, he basically blamed the market for killing off the need for a small phone. Now, here's my question, right? And he's right. No, he's right, 100%. And, you look at comparably, if you look at something like, I don't know, the S24 Ultra with its fucking massive, boxy, pocket busting design. And then like even the iPhone 15 Pro Max, right? Another massive phone.
Yeah.
You can kind of understand, I can understand given our culture of media consumption and playing games and watching Netflix and all of that, that people want a bigger screen. It makes sense. That's why foldables exist. But also Zenfone was making these amazing, small, powerful devices. And even last...
well. They were...
But they did, again...
I own them. They were great, but they didn't sell well.
But that's exactly my point here. So Asus has done a complete 360 here and have released the Zenfone 11 Ultra, which is this big, honking, massive 6.7 inch, I think, off the top of my head, phone with, I'll just use a sleek design, a pro-level camera.
Let me interrupt real quick. So
yeah,
if you remember when the Zenfone 10 came out, shortly after, right before it was released, there was a big article saying they're going to get rid of the Zenfone series. It's only the ROG phone from here.
Yes.
They're done with it. And they were half right. So
yes,
we don't know if they're going to make a small version. They probably won't. It's not worth the hassle.
Yeah.
And this is twofold. Yes, the market is done with small phones.
Yeah.
Now we have flip phones that we can substitute for small phones. But they're saving even more money. You know what this phone is, don't you? It's the ROG phone minus the game.
It is. Yeah.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say exactly. It's slightly different. But it's like, I know I'm a car guy too, but it's kind of like in the 90s when Chevy had a Chevy version of a car, a GMC version of a car, a Buick version of the car, and it was all the same vehicle, just with some different dressing on it. And eventually made them go bankrupt in the early 2000s. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to them, but they're kind of smart. So if you don't want that gamer aesthetic, which the new ROG phone isn't that gaming-esque,
yeah.
I think this is what, $7.99, $8.99?
Yes.
I got an email for $50 off a coupon. I'm like, oh, I'm going to jump on this. I looked at it. I'm like, meh. I'm like,
yeah,
nothing stands out among the crowd of what phones are right now. So if you're a huge Zenfone person, I guess, it's a good phone. From the reviews I've seen, it's been decent.
Well, here is what, and this is kind of what why the reason I bring this up. It's kind of lost its charm.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Zenfone 10 was a small, it was powerful,
the 9, the
battery.
8, yeah.
Yeah, like all of those were great. But now you've just got another big phone.
But what
and like you said,
at one point they made two phones. They made a small one and a big version. Zenfone used to make two. I don't understand. I mean, it's a money
costs, I guess. Yeah,
it is. But you make 100,000 of each and see what sells, and you make the people who want the small ones happy. And I don't know. I just don't see this phone selling well. And I hate to say this, hot take. I don't think Asus is going to be making Zenfones much longer. Or maybe even, I think ROG will last a couple more years, but I think the Zenfone series is going to be done here. If it's not after this year, it'll be next year because no one's buying. Look, if Asus reached out to me and said, hey, you want to try our phone review? Hell yeah. I'm definitely interested in it, but in the scheme of all the phones in the world, I don't want to spend my money on it. Does that make sense?
Well, here's what I wanted to ask you, right? So is this... what do we call it? A bargain basement phone? And what I mean by that is this a design they had in the canister at the bottom of the barrel and they went, we're going to give it one more shot. Let's just make a big phone.
No, I think they took the ROG and slapped a new back on it.
Okay, yeah. So there you have a design.
Bargain basement. It's like a bargain. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know what Alfa Romeo is, right?
Yes.
They're owned by the same company that owns Chrysler. So a lot of their new cars here in the U.S. are called bargain bin or parts bins because they're Alfa Romeo, but they got a bunch of cheap Dodge parts in them.
Yes.
I'm not saying anything bad about Asus, but I don't know. I mean, the phone is interesting, but I've never been even with the small versions. MKBHD said that Zenfone 10 was like the most perfect phone ever. And
I don't know.
They were great phones, but I didn't prefer the small screen. I thought I would, but I didn't. But not just that, the cameras were just meh to me. And, and cameras are very subjective. You and me've had this argument about the Honor 6 Pro, and I have the Vivo X100, and leading into the next thing, Honor Magic 6 Pro was just announced as, drum roll, I can't hear my drum roll, but they just got announced as the #1 best phone on a camera per DxO. Now, most people are going to say, "Oh, DxO, they suck, they're stupid." But I guarantee you, if iPhone was #1, all the sheep would be out there in a heartbeat saying, "See." So it doesn't mean nothing. Phone Arena has their new rating system too.
Yeah.
I will tell you, the Honor Magic 6 Pro has some damn good cameras. And the biggest selling feature for me last year with the 5 was the action mode. You didn't have to touch a button. So that's the biggest selling point. But now having the Vivo, it makes it very difficult. And if you look at DxO's website, I think the Vivo is in that top 10, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's subjective because I find the Vivo's color science better than Honor. But it's lower.
Well, so okay, let's rewind for a second because we'll just go back to no, that's fine. So let's go back to our products of the year for last year.
Yes.
So you and I both said the Honor Magic 5 Pro was our phone of the year.
100%. 99%.
And
yes.
I still stand by that statement. Now, we were both very excited when the Magic 6 Pro was announced. Now, we both have it, and we've had it for a little while now. And Jason demonstrating the green color there.
And it's got a weird texture. Does yours have a weird matte?
Mine's a smooth matte finish.
It's like a paper-like finish. It's kind of interesting. It's a good-looking phone. You can't really tell in 720p on this, but I like it.
So the reason I wanted to bring it up is we looked at this article and we were talking about this before we went on air today. So the Honor Magic 6 Pro taking the DxO mark is interesting to me because one of the things that I mean, I do like the photos it takes. It does take some nice photos.
It does.
But very largely disappointed with the zoom. Now, they slapped this massive 180 megapixel sensor on it, which is with a 2.6 aperture, autofocus, OIS. This thing was going to be...
It does have... I want to... This has the adjustable aperture, right?
That's on the main lens, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I was impressed by that because I was reading something about that, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if the Honor still has, and I couldn't. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and the reason the zoom is the zoom, it has a 2.5 times zoom, which is not bad.
It's iPhone-esque.
iPhone-esque. It's good up until 5 times. Between 5 and 10, you can start to see some notable difference in details, and then anything above 10, it just falls apart really quickly.
And I'll be honest with you. I have that in the Vivo. I honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember what the Vivo even has for zoom.
4.3, I think, times.
So maybe. So for my zoom, I'm sitting in a chair. My back is in pain. So I'm basically sitting every day for the last week.
Yeah.
And my dog's always 10, 15 feet away or next to me.
Yeah.
So I'll do a zoom and what's weird is the Vivo and Honor have different zoom, 2.3x or whatever. And it looks like when you go past about 4, the Vivo is able to, when you tap the zoom or focus, whereas the Honor tends to kind of what's going on, what the hell's going on.
Yeah, what are you trying to look at? Yeah.
It's gotten better with the last update, but my Vivo, it's been out longer, and it's got 2 or 3 updates since then, too, which is crazy. But I don't know. I think Honor is still a great phone overall. It's got a better face unlock with that 3 time of flight. It's also got IR Blaster, which most phones do. And I'm telling you that, when I go to the water park, my kids will run through the sprinklers and stuff, and they jump or whatever. Just having to point it there and it automatically pauses.
Yes.
I mean, it's perfect. I mean, I love it. That's one feature that keeps me hanging on to it. Now, yes, I know Pixel, you can just snap it and it does perfect too, but just pointing.
Yeah.
Watching the magic is, no pun intended. Watching the magic is kind of cool.
I mean, I think like as a phone, it's very similar to last year's. Like the feeling, the OS, the general in-hand feeling, it seems to be good. Again, I mean,
do you use the app shelf? Like you scroll up to get to your apps?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So when I do it on mine, like a lot of times I gotta do it a few times, and it was the same as last year.
Yes, I don't know what that is.
It's gotta be their software, because on the Vivo, I unlock it and I scroll right up and there's no issue.
I have a funny feeling that's a bug that's carried from the Chinese version into the global version they haven't fixed.
But it was in the Magic 5 Pro too.
Yeah, but I think it's just when they make the change, I guess they have to tweak some things from the Chinese version to the global version.
They don't use an app drawer usually in China.
Yeah. So I wonder if it's just a half-ass implementation. But yeah, I've noticed that as being a slight issue. I did notice too, like this is something that I wasn't really happy about with the Honor, is that the color science has changed slightly, and it's a little bit more vibrant and almost uncomfortably vibrant. It reminds me of like Samsung's from the 2019s, where they would like,
and you could turn it off. But like when we're doing camera, I want to do a camera video on my channel, but it's hard because they both have an AI mode, or the Vivo has like this Zeiss where you can change the color. It's so hard to compare cameras nowadays. And I told you in the phone, or not in the phone, but in our chat, that you really got, if the only phone you have is the Honor, it's going to be the best phone you have. Like you went on your trip recently, and all you took was an iPhone, which, I mean, you're an iSheep, but I mean, no, I'm
not, but yeah,
yes. It's crazy how competitive the market is. And I always compare it to when you go to Best Buy and you have like 30 TVs, and hell yeah, you can see which TV's better than the other or which one you prefer. But when you go home and you have one TV you paid $150 for, it looks just fine.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I know we're nitpicking. We're tech people. This is what we do. But I mean, again, my impression, and I've only really just had a couple of days to really like sink into the Honor. Battery has been pretty good, but you were mentioning that the Vivo has better battery in your experience.
So my main SIM is in the Honor, but I don't always. But I've been using my secondary SIM more because I've been enjoying the Vivo more. So the Vivo has a more straight Google experience. I know this isn't a review, and no one even cares about the Vivo X100 Pro.
Yeah,
but it's more of a straight Google experience, whereas the Honor is more of like their overlay. So if you don't like that overlay, I don't know. For me, the battery has been fantastic.
Yeah.
And especially in standby. Now, what I've noticed about global phones, and we don't see it in the US, is constant notifications about, oh, hey, power hungry app going. Do you want to stop it? It drives me insane.
On the Honor you're talking about?
On a lot of overseas phones. I don't get it on the Vivo, but I'm getting it on the Honor.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And a couple of my apps, again, I had to go in and take off the power saving on a couple apps to make it auto launch. But overall, this year, the Honor 6 Pro has worked even better in the US. On T-Mobile, it's got VoLTE. I haven't put my AT&T SIM in it. Now, the opposite's true for the Vivo. I put my T-Mobile SIM into the Vivo when I only got 4G LTE, but I got Wi-Fi calling. It worked fine.
Yeah.
But I put my AT&T SIM card in. The first thing I got was a text message saying, the phone you're trying to use does not work with our network, but it works fine. And I got 5G. I got VoLTE. I got everything working. So to me, that's pretty damn impressive.
Well,
you know what I smell though? I smell Sony. Like,
hello.
Thinks like, oh, hey, Dan.
You smell
Dan the man. Dan, he smells a Sony.
I don't know what you mean, mate.
It's been a long time.
Oh, he's rocking the S23, right?
S23 Ultra, yeah.
Look at you go. Now, Dan, you might be able to chime in on this one. We're just talking about the Magic 6 Pro claiming DxO's top spot on the smartphone cameras. Now, so we were just comparing notes because we're talking about the Vivo X100 Pro as well here. Now, Tuna and I have... I know. Well, I'm not. That's more Tuna. I'm not.
I want that Vivo so bad.
You know what?
Me too.
I got the Vivo because I got a good deal on it from a guy here in the States, and I'm like, it's gonna be crap. The Honor, because I was so pumped for the Honor, and I got it kind of like there, and I was like, it's all right.
Yeah.
The Magic 5 blew me away, and the 6 wasn't enough.
It's crazy because you guys were like you were all over that Magic 5 Pro.
And the 5 Pro was something different I've never seen, especially camera-wise. The 6 is a great phone. It just wasn't a leap enough forward, I guess.
Does it feel better than the 5 Pro?
No, I'm gonna say no. I would argue. Isn't it? Yeah, I don't know what they've changed. Like the in-hand feeling is similar, but not the same as the 5 Pro. It is a little lighter, I think, off the top of my head. The 6 Pro.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to say there was something ineffable about the Magic 5 Pro. It's hard to put into words what made it so different. The camera was spectacular, and this camera is as good, if not a little better.
Do you guys remember the Vivo that would slide up automatically? Had a motor in it.
Yes.
Oppo or the Vivo, was it Oppo or Vivo? It was Oppo.
I know it used to pop up like magic, like the OnePlus had it too, I think, at one point.
I hadn't used a Vivo phone in years, and I got this Vivo, and I'm like, my biggest thing is, I don't know if you guys ever use a Chinese variant of a phone, but when there's no Google services. So a lot of times when you order it and import it, they'll open the box, pre-install Google. So when you turn the phone on, you're already in the OS. You have to go in and manually add your account.
Yeah.
When I bought this Vivo, it was the Hong Kong global version. It came in and I opened up and it was right in there. I'm like, oh, I got screwed. I got ripped off. So I did a factory reset thinking if this goes back to what it was, I'm going to be pissed. Well, it did a reset and went to Google setup, but it was on Hong Kong or Chinese, whatever.
Yeah.
So I used my 8 Pro and I did transferred
it over. It transfers to Google still.
And what's funny is it actually works better than the Honor. It's more of a plain Jane vanilla Android experience.
Yeah.
It seems smoother, and the Dimensity chip, I don't see any. I mean,
that Dimensity is a beast.
It is
a beast.
And the battery life has been fantastic, especially standby. Has been fantastic on the Vivo.
So let me ask you a question, right? So with the Honor Magic 6, the 6 Pro, there were a few things last year that I could overlook. So the OS of the Magic 5 Pro was, I would say, different. There are some bloatware. There are some things you can't really change, like the shape of icons and stuff like that. Just functionally, it's a little more global and a little less North American is how I would describe it. Now, here's my question. Have we been so spoiled by the very good releases that we've seen in the last 6 months of smartphones that maybe we're having a bit more trouble now overlooking some of these shortcomings, and maybe that's why we don't like the Magic 6 Pro as much as we thought?
I'm going to tell you exactly what it is.
What is it?
So I'm not a police officer. I know you guys know I'm in law enforcement. I'm not a police officer, but a lot of people in law enforcement have what's known as compassion fatigue.
Yes.
And you care so much to the point where you see the same things happening every day, you get kind of like burned out.
Yes.
Slab phones are boring. I don't care what phone manufacturer you have, they're boring. And I think we're just burned out. Like especially with the Honor DxO #1 spot. It's got all these crazy features, and you can control your car with your eyes with it or something. I saw,
which I could never figure out for the record. But anyway, yeah,
so I think it's a slab phone. It's not that exciting. And for me, it comes down to the, and Dan probably agrees with this because you're a big Sony guy and you really tout the cameras. I think to me it comes down to camera. It really does. I mean,
it does,
everyone can do, everyone can do a smooth screen. Everyone can do stereo speakers. Everyone can, well, not everyone can do IR blasters, but I don't use them anyways. Everyone can do 5G, 4G.
I wouldn't look at a Vivo or a Xiaomi if it wasn't for the cameras.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
And
that's the only reason I want it.
And I sold a few phones, and I do have the Xiaomi 14 Ultra heading this way, hopefully tomorrow. I'm hoping it's good, but again, when things get hyped up so much, I'm always.
A friend of mine's got it. A couple of friends of mine have got it, and they are very happy.
Right. Okay. Well, I was telling Tuna, so right now on the Xiaomi, the UK website, it's £12.99 British pounds, which is essentially, comical money.
Pound sterling.
But wait,
sterling.
The punchline's coming. The price in Canada is
$2,300 when it's converted.
Frick.
That's like a mortgage payment. What I mean,
that is okay. To give you context, that's foldable prices.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Even if I could swing that, I wouldn't for a Xiaomi 14 Ultra.
Look,
I just
Darren,
wouldn't.
If I lived in Canada, I'd buy 6 of them.
Yeah. So when you mentioned this week that you went on the website and they have a deal right now. You get the pad and the fucking photography kit and all that shit.
And $50 off.
So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And I did the conversion. I was like, holy shit. There's no way. And then I realized that it's got nothing to do with the phone or the company. It's got to do with how shitty the conversion rate is between British pounds and Canadian dollars. Actually, this is a true story. Sorry to interrupt, but I was just in England, and Dan knows I was just in England last week. When I went to convert some money prior to leaving, I got 200 and hang on, how much did I get?
I love this.
I took 250 pounds at one of those money conversion places here in Canada. It cost me like 580 Canadian dollars or something. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like
we're not the cheapest place to come to.
No. Yeah. And another thing, sorry, Tuna, I interrupt you. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say I had to make like a pact with my wife. She's like, you have 7 phones. I'm like, whew.
She's not all.
Dan, and Darren, you all know we're all married, so we got to share the wealth.
I know.
So I sold 2 phones. Third one hasn't sold yet, and with just I sold 2 phones just to get the Xiaomi. Now, in my defense, I also get the photography package and a crappy tablet, probably. But I don't know.
Which phones did you sell?
The S24.
Okay.
And the Pixel 8.
Okay.
I did not want to sell that.
You gave up. You
sold the mainstream phones, and
but this Vivo, I cannot.
Mate, that blue looks so good as well.
Yeah,
I watched your video. I watched your video earlier. It was good. It was good.
Well, and the guy who sent me this sent me like 10 cases, and
no
this is
way.
The crappiest case ever. One was I can't find it. It's some weird like skull and bones, and it was
yes,
it works perfectly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, for me, like right now, I'm hanging on to the Magic 6 Pro. I would like to try the Vivo. The Vivo here is not crazy expensive. It's somewhat reasonable. It's about Pixel 8 Pro pricing. If you went for like a 256 or like a
Darren
512 version.
Zenfone 11. Go for it.
I am not buying that Zenfone 11.
Dan's already got 3 of them.
Dan doesn't even know what the Zenfone is. That's how unpopular that phone is.
Hey, I know what it is. I know things.
Do they even sell Asus in England?
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they're global.
They did the last one anyway.
The 11 looks interesting, but I would rather get the ROG.
It just looks like an ROG phone. Let's face it.
I'm not spending $1,600 on an ROG phone.
That camera module, holy shit!
Well, it's so. I know it's ugly as fuck. It is horrible. Yeah,
it's pretty ugly. And if it's anything like the last year, it's not going to be that great.
So it's funny. This week has been a big set of stories that kind of opened my mind and went, okay, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. And I've just gone back over the last week because I was away for a little bit there. I thought when I saw this last story,
I hope you're
hell had frozen the fuck over and I was living in an alternative universe. I never thought in 1 million fucking years I would see this article pop up. I actually had to check it twice. I thought I might have crossed into April and it was April Fool's Day because England's 5 hours ahead of everybody else. So I thought I might have just time traveled or I didn't know what the fuck I was seeing. But basically, the big story of this past week was that Apple is considering bringing Google Gemini AI to iPhones.
So
that's nuts to me.
Here's my thought on this. There's 2 things. Is Apple going to, obviously Apple has to pay Google something.
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
So it's going to diminish Android for sure, depending on how Apple utilizes it. But Google can't turn away a cash cow. They are a business at the end of the day. The other thing is I posted about this on Twitter. So when they announce this, and let's say they do make a deal with Google, when is Apple going to say, hey, we worked with Google, You know how Samsung says, "Hey, we work with Google." Someone from Google comes out and they shake hands, they talk. That's never going to happen. Do you think Apple's actually going to introduce someone from Google? Probably not. What is Google or what is Apple going to call their version of AI using Gemini? And when are they going to drop the bomb that they invented AI?
So I have a theory. I'll come back to it though. But let's go with Dan. Dan, first let's start with you. How do you feel about this potential partnership? What might it be called? Do you think?
I honestly, Apple come up with the weirdest names for things, so I don't even try and guess anymore. But
hang on a second.
I kind of felt like this was probably going to happen anyway, just because Apple doesn't really have the means to do it yet.
Yes,
they're far behind. Yeah.
Yeah, and are they ever going to have the means? Really?
I don't know. Yeah.
They've been focusing a lot more on hardware, I feel, more than they have software. I mean, software's a secondary, it seems like now. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they're so far behind. They've got to jump with either Microsoft or Google.
So do you guys picture this replacing Siri?
No. Iteration.
Because I don't know. I was under the impression that it
might be part of it.
Yeah, like I was wondering if they're gonna just complete either like Siri powered by Gemini AI or like something that they might rebrand it or like. But I think
Jane.
The voice.
Hey Jane.
Jane. What was that fucking doctor used to get on Windows things? Doctor something or other used to do like diagnostic stuff on your PC. You know what I'm talking about? Dr. Watson? Hey, was it Dr. Watson or
Darren,
I don't know.
5G
anyway.
antenna shut down.
Yeah, sure. I know, my brain's broken. No, I actually fucking England screwed drinking. Up my brain. No, I haven't been drinking. Actually, I drank a lot over being in England. I drank lots of booze.
That's what everyone does.
Yeah.
It's the only thing you can do when it's fucking raining all day.
Actually, true story. The first day I was there, we arrived into fucking like a torrential downpour.
Mate, it pretty much didn't stop raining for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's been fucking horrendous.
Well, you saw my post in Telegram about the tornadoes we had.
Yeah.
So we have these tornado sirens start going off. And my wife grabs the kids and they go in the basement. I'm like, hell no, I'm going outside. So I grab a beer and my phone, and it's dark. Like it is pitch dark. And all of a sudden it starts hailing and raining. And my full front yard is flooded. I mean, half an inch in like 10 minutes.
Wow.
And the tornado sirens turned off. Now, I've never witnessed a tornado myself, but they say usually when a tornado hits, it gets really calm. All of a sudden, I hear like a whistling noise, like a train. I'm like, oh shit. So I run downstairs. I'm like, I think it's here. I've got a smart bird feeder for my daughter, and it's in about 50 feet of concrete, and it was knocked over.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how it knocked over because nothing else was touched around it. And then a door down, a whole 2 pine trees, probably 30 feet tall, 40 feet tall, had just been ripped out of the ground.
Wow.
So it touched down somewhere.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you talk about drinking because it's raining all day. I was outside with a tornado.
You're outside going, oh, come on, Vivo, snap this one.
Well, it was funny. I took a few pictures before it started raining, and I'm like, I'm gonna take pictures. Then it started lightning a lot. I'm like, I probably shouldn't stand out there.
Yeah.
So I
that
grabbed
metal
a
object
rod,
in your hand.
I grabbed a big metal rod and got on my roof, and then I started taking pictures. I figured the electricity from the lightning would help quick charge my phone. You know.
Yeah.
Typical American.
So
what do you think? Is this going to be something? Do you think they're going to sign with Google or Microsoft? That's the other people are talking about.
This is it.
I don't think Microsoft. I just don't.
Copilot's good.
I think Microsoft are going to end up being the leader in AI. In all honesty.
Wow.
Well, if they're not,
big call.
If they sign with Apple, they will be. It's in Microsoft's best interest to sign with Apple because they own a huge market share.
I tell you why it won't be Microsoft, because Samsung's got their fist solely up Microsoft's ass for all of their stuff.
You're right.
And I'll be honest with you, I used Copilot. I had to use Copilot yesterday because I was looking up something for work. I can't remember what it was, but I have a link to it on my my desktop here. The fucking thing didn't work. I asked it a question and just fucking didn't. Yeah.
Dan, when's the last time you used Copilot?
I've
never used it.
Today, okay, there you go.
Well, I have Edge as my main
Right.
browser.
Oh, it's
so
built in.
It's all there.
Okay. See, I use Chrome, but I
use it on my phone. I use it on my phone. So whenever I search something, it gives me the Copilot answers as well. So it's like every day. Every day.
Damn it! I was trying to make a point, and you just.
I mean, it's just by chance. I mean, I always used Edge anyway, so it's just there. They just put it there. I'm just like, oh yeah, okay.
Well,
trying to make a point, and he's like, "Well, I use it all the time."
Like, yeah.
Well, have you used it before, Tuna?
I've never used Copilot ever. I've used
have you
Bard and Gemini. That's it.
Okay, so you're using it. So I mentioned this last week. I've been more and more impressed by Gemini. It seems to be getting better by the day for like general everyday inquiries. I'm like severely impressed with what it's been able to do
after its initial disaster.
Oh yeah, it was horrible in the first month of inception. It's crap.
I don't think anybody noticed.
No, I didn't think anyone noticed because they weren't using it. But now, like, it seems to be a pretty solid, like, Chat GPT contender. So I think it is better than
phones, right? And you have the assistant. Have you noticed that Gemini has taken over for assistant?
I did on my Pixel, and it pissed me off because Gemini. Gemini couldn't do like basic things like the assistant could, like set calendars, like events, that kind of stuff. But the reason I bring it up, and the reason I just wanted to have a thing about this, so we were very fortunate that we got the opportunity last week. I think we were talking about this on the last show. I don't know what that actually is.
I'm sorry. I just got a ding on my phone. It says, I got an email. It says, "Are you ready?" I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yes.
The AI pin.
Oh, pin, yes. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
I don't know. Are they still talking about things? I don't know.
Just take a peek. I'm ready for it to ship.
Well, so the reason I wanted to end the show with the Gemini AI stuff is because on the last show we talked about how AI can generate images and text and video, and
here we go.
No, I didn't. He's already predicting what's coming. I don't even know what's happening here. I'm just making this shit up as we go.
If it's a video of the kid in a wheelchair, I swear to God.
Dan wants to see it. I don't think Dan's seen it. He needs to see it.
Yeah, you generated an AI video. Yeah, it's a great video.
Oh no.
So Dan, to give you the preface, we'll say we asked. We were talking about Sora.
Oh, Sora.
Sora, thank you.
We
were talking about Sora, and last week we tested it out to see if it would generate something for us. But we've actually been in contact with Apple, and they've actually given us exclusive access to their AI and what Gemini will be able to.
Now hold on before you show the video. The prompt he typed it. Yeah, typed it. Is amazing. This prompt was very detailed, emotional. Like there's like some raw emotion in this video. You're gonna like it.
Well, so here
is. Darren, try not to laugh already.
I know. Sorry, I'm already laughing. Sorry, it's hilarious to me already. So I won't tell you what the prompt was, Dan. I'll see if you can guess. But we had exclusive access to Gemini AI on the iPhone. I typed in a command, and this is what it created.
Oh, come on.
Oh no.
Catch him.
Goddamn brakes.
Gotta be a Renault.
What the fuck?
So that was what it created for us. Classic movie scene there.
I know it's late where you're at. Maybe tomorrow, check out a movie called Mac and Me.
Yes, Mac and Me.
Top shelf.
Did you watch it? Have you never seen that movie?
No.
Oh, it's a classic 80s.
Terrible I mean, yeah, it's not classic.
It was an ET ripoff, is what it was. That's exactly what it was.
Only a lot worse.
Yeah. And a lot worse. But the streak continues. That's 3 shows in a row with a Mac and Me reference thrown in for good measure. and no Rickroll. We stopped the Rickroll in there, but that actually brings us to the end of the Technosopters podcast. I know. Oh, what a way to finish! We started the way we finished it. Actually, if we were going to start the way we finished, we did. I would send Dan a cyber flashing moment. Do you know what cyber flashing is, Dan?
Cyber flashing, where you send in.
Oh, don't act coy. You know exactly what it is.
Yes, he knows. He knows.
He's
what
an
it
active
is.
participant.
I'm in a permanent state of cyber flashing.
Well, it's funny. So just to end up, Dan sent me a cyber flash just a moment ago, and I just wanted to share that with the rest of. So he sent this to me. This is Tim Cook and Sundar, or whatever that guy's name is.
On a date.
On a date.
What's interesting is Sundar is drinking water, it looks like, and Tim is drinking a little wine.
Wine, yes. Let me ask you something quickly.
This is the Gemini deal right here.
This is the Gemini deal right here. Is this AI?
Probably. There's no way to be in public doing this. No way.
I don't know, man. It's too sus for me.
I thought there was. How long is this? Because I'm sure I've seen this image before.
Yes, it's out there. You just Google it. Tim
It was posted on X. Too, like, oh, look, here's the Gemini deal. I'm like, come on.
I don't think so. I don't think these two have ever been in a room together, let alone.
Does Tim drink? I don't think Tim drinks.
I don't Tim. Oh, no, maybe. Isn't he's not.
I don't even think he drinks water.
Dan,
robot.
No, yeah, he's a robot.
Owned
he
Apple
drinks
and
oil.
You were worth trillions of dollars. You wouldn't have a glass of wine.
Yeah, good
depends,
point.
Doesn't it?
Fair.
I guess it does depend.
Now, forgive me if I got this wrong, but Tim Cook is a famously gay man, if I remember that right. If I got that right?
I don't know.
I believe he is.
I don't know either. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I don't even know. I've never even. I didn't
think
about that.
I'm going to have to fact check that just in case we get cancelled by Apple again. Not again.
We had to
yes,
go there.
He is. So in 2014, he publicly came out as gay. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Yes. So
what's the point?
The reason I bring that up is
the evidence in front of you.
This looks very interesting.
Oh,
could you imagine? Now stick with me. Tim Cook and Sundar, I think he's Pichai was the last name.
Pichai,
something
like
that.
I don't know.
Something weird. Imagine if these two got together. What would happen?
If they were really in a relationship and one of them got into an argument, they'd be like,
I'm not going to stay.
I'm going to shut Google down. No more browser. You know that?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Fuck your Gemini. That's what Tim Cook would say. Yeah. And here's your
imagine the breakup.
Oh my goodness.
Before we close out,
yeah,
Dan, as you may or may not know, Darren is a little jet lagged. He may have been in your part of the world, the country, your country,
the time change
your area.
Yeah.
I bet it did.
I had mentioned I think Dan, you were in the chat at the Nomad Tech Project, and I had mentioned. I think maybe that's what it was, and you said, "Oh, we should meet up." Like not to me, to him. And I mentioned to Darren, "Hey, Dan was like, hey, I'll meet up." He's like, "Oh, that MFer." I'm kidding.
Unfortunately, my schedule did not link up that way. I was actually pretty far away from you, I think, Dan, if I got that right.
It's not like everybody else is like down south.
Right, yeah.
And if I flew all the way over to that country, I would make every effort to see people that I knew in that country.
Well, it's funny.
You know what I was gonna do?
Yeah.
But
were you actually gonna attempt to? Were you gonna try, Dan? Or
I was.
It
was.
Number 10 on his list.
50-50.
Money. It was like I was gonna do it, but it was like I probably shouldn't because money's a little bit. And honest to God, train tickets here are ridiculous.
Oh, they're
especially coming from here to London, which is 2 hours. You're talking 80 to 100 quid.
Oh,
Jesus. Well, and people, it's like in the US, they're like, "Hey, I'm in California."
Smart.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
36 hours away. I'm not driving 36 hours. Sorry, I can't do that.
Well, I was actually, we were talking about Joe, who's on the Nomad Tech project. And Joe was going to make the 2-hour bus ride to come and say hi, but I felt bad. I mean, that's a long way to come for like...
Darren's going to let him down. He's going to show him like, oh, this is Darren.
No, I'll be honest with you. Like, we had literally plans in place for it to make it happen. And then when he told me he was like, going 2 hours out of his way, I legitimately felt pretty terrible, and I was like,
if our boiler hadn't packed in and we didn't need to pay £2,700 altogether for a new boiler,
oh shoot,
I might have been all right.
Yeah,
what do you need a boiler for in the UK?
Yeah, it's warm here all the time. It's just warm.
Yeah. Our boiler is like a furnace for people that are not in.
We call them water heaters.
Okay.
We just replaced ours, and it was not cheap.
No,
but it was 32 years old, so it probably needed to be replaced.
Damn, that's good going.
But now the new one would last 5 years, and not to replace.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, new ones.
I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but we get a lot of telemarketing phone calls at the home asking for people to come and clean air.
We don't have a home phone.
Boilers and all that.
I get questions about extended warranty for my car. I'm like, I don't have a car.
Well, the reason I say that is because they've been recalling my house repeatedly daily for a couple of months. And the other day I just got fucking pissed off. I've been telling them, I've said a lot of things to them. Some of them not so nice, some of them very funny. But the other day someone rang up and they're like, can we come to your house and fix your water heater or your fucking furnace or whatever? And I said, you know what? I don't have a furnace. And he's like, what? I'm like, we don't have one. He's like, but you live in Canada. I'm like, yeah. I said, we do. And he's like, but how do you keep warm? And I'm like, I told him we just have a fireplace. And I legitimately, I had a legitimate serious conversation.
You should have just went, we hold each other.
Yes. We stay warm by hugging. Yes.
No, you
body
said,
warmth.
hey, what's your cell phone number? I got a cyber
flash him. Yes, I'll help you out. Here you go. Yeah.
That'll keep you
the next, well, listen, I mean, I'm not going to say too much, but if you were to see it, it would definitely be impressive, but we won't go there today. But anyway,
impressive.
It's hugely impressive. Yes.
Definitely.
Speaking, as we end our podcast today, maybe you should cyber flash someone else. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that ever.
Hold on, Dan. What's your? You have an X or you have a live stream as well too, don't you?
Yes, he does. Yes.
The bunch of phonies. Yes.
And
in fact, Darren popped in.
I did pop in. I think a couple of weeks back, I said hi and talked about, and that was, it was funny when I spoke to Dan a couple of weeks ago. I just got the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and you guys asked me, what did you think so far? My initial impressions were just okay, and I haven't really changed my initial impressions that much. I know I haven't had a really chance.
That's a shame, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tuna, I think you jinxed it, and I'm going to go back to something that Tuna said.
What the hell did I do?
No, let me.
His fault.
No. I want to go back because I don't remember if this was on air or off air, but you said to me, the Honor Magic 6 Pro is coming out. The Magic 5 Pro is so good. I hope they don't fuck it up.
I did say that.
Yes, and I feel as though that was a jinx. I think we set our expectations here.
Right. And this is, Dan, I know, or Darren, I know we got to wrap up. This is why I like Android, because there's no such thing as a perfect phone.
There's no.
And if you're an iPhone person, nothing wrong with that, but you don't have much choice. You have different sizes. That's about it. You're going to have the same experience. But with Android, you can get the Honor 6 Pro and love it or hate it. Go get the Vivo. Go get the Oppo, go get the Google, go get Samsung. You have so many options.
But that's how you get the best phone. That's how you get the ultimate phone. You just buy them all.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly where I'm going.
That's exactly what
I buy every iPhone. I have the same exact experience.
Well, exactly. It's just an iPhone.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, if it ain't iPhone, it ain't shit. Unfortunately, that's the running theme slogan of the Tech Disruptors podcast, because that's apparently how it works. But anyway, that brings us to the end of another Tech Disruptors podcast. Dan, thank you much for joining us, buddy. We miss you.
Oh, good. I forgot that you guys were an hour earlier because of us. Because
stupid
of the
daylight saving.
And
also, we're easily forgettable. I get it.
It's okay. We understand.
I'm saying nothing.
Dan, your podcast is on Friday.
This Friday. We'll be back this Friday. Yeah.
And what time do you guys air? Because I honestly I always miss
9 p.m. UK time.
Which is like fucking 1
For
p.m.
you, it'll be 1. Yeah, it'll probably be 1 a.m.
Yes.
Oh
no, p.m.
No, p.m.
Yeah.
No. You'll be like 4. You'll be like, I don't know. I don't know
like
time
4 to
zones.
5 hours.
Check it out because everyone's raving about it. Nomad was raving about it. I gotta check it out.
This is true.
Well, Sam and Joe are regular participants, so
nice.
they're slightly biased. Let's say
slightly biased.
Right.
Slightly biased.
Good things is what.
But we've been having a good time with it. So
is it a YouTube or is it X? Like you doing?
We started on X and then we've gone to YouTube.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've got a dedicated channel for it now. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, the Bunch of Phonies podcast featuring Dan the Man is on Fridays, and Tech Disruptors podcast will eventually figure out a day where we're not changing it. Actually, this week, again, we did go a little early this week. Tuna has a problem with going a little early, but we managed to
giggity
for that. But we will be back hopefully next week at our regular scheduled time, which is just after Dan's podcast if you're in the United States or Canada. So what a better way to end your Friday than to listen to Dan and then pivot across to the Tech Disruptors podcast, right? It's almost like we planned it. But anyway, almost, right? So thank you very much, Dan, Jason. Check out their stuff. They do amazing things. You can check them out on their podcast, on X, on, Pornhub, and everywhere else in between.
Only Dan's,
just correct. But we thank you very much for our first show back after a little hiatus there. And tech never ends, so we will never stop. Ever. And just remember, don't cyber flash. That is your lesson for today. You have officially been taught.
Only on weekends.
Only on weekends. That's correct. Is it weird that I cyber flash myself, my own body parts?
We'll leave that to you. I mean, 5G antenna close to you. We don't want to.
It's a popular thing.
It's true. Getting the right angle though is always a slight problem. Lighting,
angle, I get it.
Wide angle makes it look longer. It just it's the whole system. There's a whole thing there.
Wide angle's the way to go then.
That's the thing. Just don't macro mode it. You might see some.
So we call it the wide angle of the dangle.
Wide dangle.
The wide angle. There you go.
Yes.
You know what? Apple's gonna patent that and put that on their new camera.
Yeah, that's the name of their new AI assistant.
Powered
by Gemini.
Apple's AI, the wide dangle. I love it. All right.
BBC's everywhere.
Yes. Wow. I love
Gemini, man. It's just how it rolls.
That's funny.
I love the British broadcasting service. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, same.
That's what he meant.
Yes. We will wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Dan, Jason.
God save the king.
And yes, please check us out on YouTube, on X. Hit that subscribe button, hit like, share with your friends. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and we'll even send you a cassette of today's show.
And even your mother's iPhone.
Yes, correct. Go buy your mum an iPhone and throw it in the garbage. Okay, on that note, thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one.